And we're off again. Um, what's going on? It's Western Star Movie Reviews. Episode number whatever the hell it is. It's another section or another stream of the reviews. If you are new to this, I'm gonna try to move my face in here a little bit longer. Let me just do that with the mic. Okay, right. You can see the thing is moving. I think I'll just on and then that. Okay. Well, what's up? It's another episode, and my name is Hunter. For those of you who are tuning in, and I am reviewing new movies every week that I see to fill you guys up on the latest new things that are happening right now. If you are brand new, welcome, and let's begin. I have there's other streams on the channel for the Iona WICR that I have done reviews on. I've done reviews last weekend on Halloween Ends, on other things, Smile, and I started this stream, my stream by ranking all of the films that I've seen from that to September 21st, which was like a bunch of them. And so I did the calculations on my phone before we get started. I calculated how many movies I want to watch before the end of the year. And by comparison, from 2021, the amount of movies that I'm projected to talk to review or that I want to see and rank by the end of this year is 87. For a little bit of remembrance, last year it was 51. 51 versus 87, which I mean there's other things I would probably skip, but I'm not gonna watch them. Anyways, so today's reviews consist of Black Adam, newest DC Warner Brothers superhero movie. Does it shed new light on the DC universe, and does it change the hierarchy, like Dwayne Johnson said? We'll find out, maybe. Um, Also, some movie news about the box office coming out. A significant bad drop for Halloween Ends figures, probably for good, and The Stool for Good and Evil is a Netflix movie. Yeah, that's all you need to know about that thing. We'll talk about that later. So if you're brand new, let's begin. I don't know why I keep saying if you're brand new because I mean, you know, whatever. But yeah, let's um let's get started. Um with the the first one up, and obviously the one that is the big news of last weekend is that Black Adam. If you aren't aware of the character Black Adam, it's basically like negative Superman, or Dark Superman, um, and it's about pretty much it was a project that Dwayne Johnson wanted to get done years in advance or years before. I think it was announced like in 2007. Apparently, it was announced, or in 2011, but it was way like years late, years waiting for this project to come out. And of course, it was supposed to come out. The original release date of this movie was supposed to come out in Christmas time, around December 21st, 2021, or December 22nd. And so that got changed around. That had to move because pandemic. So that got moved to July of 2022, July 29th. And that had to move because DC had a whole shift. Pretty much, if you aren't aware right now, the DCU is kind of in a kerfuffle. They had to cancel a lot of things. A lot of new heads at Warner Brothers Discovery had to make sure, like, okay, we're going to make this movie. We're not going to make this movie because it has a low budget. And apparently, that's what the Batgirl movie had. The new sequel to Stoob, which I'm disappointed, but not really. I mean, some people say that the new Batgirl movie was awful, but it was directed by the guys who did Bad Boys for Life, which kind of was amazing in that way. So there's that. But um this was something that is a passion project for Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Um, and I think this is his first time ever being a superhero. So that has to be something. Well, he was a superhero in the other one that I talked about last weekend, which was DC League of Super Pets. Um, Actually, I might want to move back. Is this good? No, this is not good. Because I'm just so close to the camera, so close on the screen, or on the screen. You see like my just whole body, but whatever. Anyways, was really excited. I wanted to know how they were going to take on this anti-hero. Now, anti-hero movies, let's face it, they're not the best. Cruella is by far the best. I think that it was a Disney movie. Yeah, it's totally different, but in terms of an anti-hero movie telling a villain story, like that has some really good stuff to it. And so this was PG-13, and normally with PG-13 anti-hero movies, they don't work. I mean, you can ask the Venom movies in the background over there. Um, if only I found a. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke about it, but I actually did enjoy the last one, Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Did not really like the first Venom, and it's the problem is because the violence in those movies are not good. Um, so this is pretty much the story, and I'll get back to the violence in a little bit. But the story of Black Adam is that he is pretty much a slave, and he pretty much has found this power um, that gave him superhuman abilities, and he's kind of like the darker version of Superman. And he has been sleeping for thousands of years, and then some people come to discover to find a crown, and they realize that, oh, Black Adam is here, and he awakens and starts murdering a bunch of people, a bunch of mercenary military sort of people in this town that used to in this area that used to be his home. And so now everybody's like trying to figure out, like, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? They're trying to tell him, well, you used to do this. And then there's a Justice Society who sees this and is like, I don't like that. I don't like that. We're good people. That guy's bad. That's a bad guy. And so now they're trying to decide, what are you? Are you with us or are you against us? And it's kind of like a man versus good versus evil sort of thing, and all the while there's other things happening. And so I was excited. I mean, I like the DCU. I think what they've been doing recently, scratch that. The last movie that they did was great. The Suicide Squad. James Gunn had full control of that, and it was great. The only problem is it didn't make a lot of money in the box office because it was on HBO Max, and it was in a area where the Omicron variant was kind of come around, but no, nothing. Nonetheless, it was nothing. But so pretty much, actually, I think I'm gonna move this this way. Is that no? It's not. Okay, I'm sorry. The mic is just being annoying, but yeah. And so I was really, um, damn it. Okay. So I was actually really excited for this one. Number one, it's Dwayne Johnson, and he's always a charismatic guy. If you hate the guy, you're really just a horrible person because he's just the nicest person in the world. He's also the most ripped I can see. Every time on Instagram, he's always posting like workout videos, is insane. Um, I like Pierce Brosnan, who plays Dr. Fate in the movie. I like Aldous Hodge. I like these castings. I like the story. It looks cool, and I also would like to see how they incorporate this possibly in future DC movies later on. So and the movie obviously was getting some good reception early on, but then obviously it was kind of like, no, not really. It wasn't. And if it and so I'll say this about the movie is that the violence, if you want to see some really good PG-13 violence that's like, oh, it's safe, it's not good, this movie has it. Like, it has that PG-13 violence, and you are going to love it. And so, like, I was kind of shocked, because like there's one scene in the trailer that they show in the trailer, um, where he pretty much like takes somebody's arm and he throws the guy at somebody else, and his arm literally falls off. Like, that's in the promo images, so that's not really a spoiler. Another thing is that um they showed us in like the first ever look that they gave us last year's DC fandom, where he takes a guy that he's about to like apprehend him. He's like, "Put your hands up," and he takes him and he starts shocking his body, and you can see the whole body like just like getting corrupted. And that's like good PG-13 violence. The violence in this movie is there. If you're ready to see some good violent PG-13 things, then that movie has it. If you're wanting to see some good Dwayne Johnson, this movie has it. If you're ready to see some good action sequences, this movie has it. It's really good action sequences when they're done right. The performances, I like Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. I like Dr. Fate. Pierce Brosnan is incredible in this movie. Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson. He's really good in this film. And the movie's paced in a way that's fine. It's not overly paced. And so if those are for you, go ahead. You're gonna love Black Adam. But for me, I felt disappointed. Very disappointed. This isn't a bad movie. Like this isn't a horrible film. Like people are saying, like this thing has like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. This isn't a bad movie. It's just kind of disappointing. And when you think about what has happened, over the past couple of years of DC, you would think like, okay, we're gonna learn from this because they've been on a roll with Suicide Squad and then Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, but they had some iffy buffs in there. Justice League, the theatrical version was a disaster. Wonder Woman 1984 was not good at all. Birds of Prey was kind of a mediocre mess, even though I still kind of liked that movie in vain, but it was 2020, so there were not a lot of movies to like. There were some, but there were not a lot to like. And so I'm in the vein of like this movie's there's fun stuff in it. There's some good fun entertainment, but as a movie, it struggles and it's not that good. It's just it's this is not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not good. And I think it's mediocre. And that's where I really get it from. I think this movie, in my opinion, it's just not good. It's not that good. When you take into accountability, it's like this was years of development. The Rock had a lot of involvement to do. Uh, it's kind of like weird because he got the same director who directed the Jungle Cruise last year, which also starred The Rock and Emily Blunt. And I'm like, you can't just get a different director. And this director has done some weird things, like some weird things. My phone's on 20%. I got to charge this damn thing. But I'm sorry for my language, but it's a struggle. But he had the same director from his last movie, Jungle Cruise, and so this director, he's known for the remake of House of Wax, Orphan, um, Unknown, Run All Night, Nonstop, The Commuter, The Shallows, and now Jungle Cruise. And the reason why I hold up four fingers is because the movies I just listed are all Liam Neeson action movies. And maybe you'll see a Liam Neeson action movie next week. Whatever, I don't know. Maybe not. But so pretty much there hasn't been a movie that I've seen that I think is like good. I can trust this guy. I think the one that I can say is The Shallows, but I have not seen The Shallows at all. I haven't heard good things about The Commuter. I watched Thunder Cruise, which is the one I would say is probably there. But then again, I see that as an entertaining film in vain. The 62%, it's a fun film, but then all of his other movies are kind of mediocre at best. Run All Night or Orphan. The first Orphan movie is, how I feel about the second one. The first movie, it's fine. It's not great, but it's decent. And then I heard that there's horrible things about the House of Wax remake, which was awful. So I haven't seen that. So like I'm not one to judge, but I was like concerned about this. It was written by three people, um, and one of them was named Adam Sistitiel. Cetiel. I'm gonna call it Ezekiel. Ezekiel. I don't know if anybody can pronounce that name. That last name. Okay, but I don't like. All right. And he was one of the people. He's the only one that's correct. That's like listed. You can look up what he done, and so he is the one that I can look up. So he in his filmography, he made a bunch of movies. He made a film called Made in Honor. Um, 16%. I'm just gonna read these off, and I'm just gonna tell you like what is the camera like blurry or white or something? I don't know. So 16%. He did Maid of Honor. He also did a movie called Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. That's a 39%. Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Trip, 15%. Diary Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, which was he was uncredited for, 17%. Rampage, which is probably the one I'm like, okay, that's good. That's decent, but not good at all. Rampage, 51%. And then Scoob, he was also an executive producer of the movie. That is at a 48%. So so let me just say it. The guy's not good at writing things. And that's one of the biggest problems. It's the first problem I will talk about. The writing is not good. It's really bad. It is not good. It's very like there's a lot of explanation things going on where it's like, oh, Black Adam, you used to be a hero back in the day. You were this and this and this. It's like so. Here's how the explaining goes in this movie. Number one is that the opening of this movie is pretty much like a backstory of like how Black Adam got his powers. So that's one explanation. And then later on, when he finally is awakened and he's greeted by these people, there's this kid that comes around. By the way, the skateboard kid, I'll talk about him. But there's this kid that comes around, and then he's like, "You're awake. You're this, and you used to be this." So he gives him a book, and he's like, "Okay, this is what you do. This is what you do." And it's like that's another explanation thing. And so then they're going to this place to find this artifact, and then there's more explanation. Like a lot of this movie is explaining. And it's just not good. It's like it's not developing the story that much. It's just like, okay, here's what you need to know. Like, we don't care. I don't care about that. And so I really don't know. And he should have gotten a better writer to do this movie. And I don't know the other two, but they probably have better credits. I don't know because you can't see what they did on the Wikipedia, maybe IMDb, but other than that, there's really nothing to talk about of that. Without spoiling, the story is really bad because half of this movie or part of this movie, like there was one third of this movie that's focusing all on this skateboard kid, this kid who is like the son of his mother, and they show it in the trailer. And I was like worried, like this is going to be a side plot. Is this going to be a side plot of this movie where they have to this family's just going to follow around? And yeah, it is. It is. And it's just so annoying. It's not good. There's some comedy in here that's really just like I don't know, but it's funny. There's some funny things in this movie. The Rock is charismatic, but so that's that. Then you had the filmmaking of this movie is terrible. I'm sorry, but it is terrible. And I've sound like I'm trashing this movie, but it's not like a bad movie. There's some good parts in it. But the filmmaking, it's like every single time there's an action sequence has to be in there. Um or there is an action sequence in this movie. If there is one, it's like 2 minutes and then you're into slow motion and then you're back out and it's a lot of slow motion in this movie. And it's like, what is happening? What is happening right now? It's not good. It's not good at all. And so, I don't really know why the filmmaking is so annoying because it's like constantly like slow motion and we fight back. It's like 300 editing again, except it's in a DC movie and we don't need that. I'm nervous of that. Then we have what else did I not like about this movie? Pretty much the movie also is like focusing on this one artifact, and then like by the half of the movie, it's like completely gone. It's like completely like out of the equation. It's like, oh no, now there's something else. Which brings me to the villain of this movie. It turns into a completely different film. Like so the first half of this movie was actually not like the best part of the movie is the first half. It's setting up a lot of things. There's some action in there, the violence is there, and it's pretty cool. There's a nice action sequence where it's like where there's this song painted black. If anybody plays Black Ops 3 or watch the trailers for Black Ops 3, you know instantly that is from that trailer or that is from that game. And it's cool. It's setting up a lot of things. The characters are introduced, and then the second half of this movie is absolutely terrible, where it turns into a completely different movie where you're introducing this new villain that comes out of nowhere, and throughout the entirety of this movie, you're seeing this character. And I'm not gonna okay, the movie's been out, but I'm not gonna spoil it. Um, Actually, should I spoil it? I don't know because it's been out, so I don't know if anybody. No, I'm gonna wait. But there's this characters is introduced in the beginning of the movie, and it's pretty much like, you know, you can tell like there's a little bit something sketchy about this person, and then towards the end of the movie, it's like, really, we're doing this thing. It's like a strive for power, and I didn't even know it was this guy, Marwan Kenzari. I didn't even know this guy was in the movie because he actually played Jafar in the remake of Aladdin. I did not know that. So, well, he's not good he wasn't good in there and he's not good in here because it's like power is so good for villains. It's like, no, it's not. Um, and the villain is introduced, like the actual villain that is introduced at the end of the movie, like the fight happens for like 15 or 10 minutes. It's like not good. Um, and that's a huge letdown. There's these two characters, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, which are played by Noah Centino's Atom Smasher, and Quintessa Swindell is Cyclone. Um, those two people, Noah Centino is from Charlie's Angels, the remake of Charlie's Angels, and the Two All the Boys, who I loved, Two All the Boys trilogy of movies that came out, or four movies. I don't know, they're three or four. They're fine. And then Quintessa Swindell is from the Trinkets show, and I think she makes an appearance in Euphoria once. I actually watched Euphoria, so that's like kind of deep, deep stuff. And they're not bad in the movie. They're actually good in the movie. They're not bad. It's just the writing that they gave Adam Smasher. He has to tell every joke. Like he has to be the funny guy. He's like the nervous guy. He has to be the Joker, and some of it, like not the actual Joker, but like he has to tell all the comedy in the movie. And so some of this didn't work for me. And their characters are not developed. All we know from these guys is that one of them is like a woman who can turn tornado things, who's a windy powers, and the other one can grow his molecular structure, and the other one had, and it's a suit from his uncle. Okay, that's not it. Black Adam gets a background. Hawkman gets a background. That's a little bit weird. And then um, Dr. Fate gets a background, and so those two characters are, to me, would have been cooler if we cut out the villain stuff, or no, if there was more characterization. Now, if there was more villain stuff, then I would say take those two out of the movie. You don't need to have those two in the movie at all. You could have had Dr. Fate and you could have had Hawkman be the two leaders of the Justice Society, and then you could have had the villain kind of develop into what he is now, because the villain is just straight up like in the last 20 minutes, and he is not developed at all, and it is not good. And so I can't sit here and be like, well, it was an entertaining movie for half of it, and the other half is just like bad. Like it's bad. And so I have to come out here and say, this is not a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a terrible film. It's just frustrating. And this is how like I feel this is actually kind of how I feel about Thor Ragnarok, or no, Love and Thunder. And I didn't like I was disappointed about that movie too. It's hard for me to say which movie I liked more because honestly, I gave Thor: Love and Thunder a C plus. I don't know what I know what I give this movie, but I'm not going to say right now. I don't know which one I liked more. Like I would say I probably liked Black Adam a little more because there's more of an entertainment value to it. Which actually, you know what? Now that I think about it. Okay, just changing my ratings. So like I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, I was entertained by it. I didn't care. I had a fun time with it. I'm not. I'm gonna be completely honest and say that this is just not a good movie, or not the best movie that it could have been. It could have been a good movie. Like I said, it could have been a really good, entertaining film if the rest of the movie was focused better. But it's not. It's not focused at all, and so I don't really know what to do with that in mind. And so, yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, my phone's dying. I'm gonna try to get my charger, but um I just don't know what to do with that because it's a frustrating one because I do like The Rock, I do like the characters, I do like the action, I do like the violence. It's really good, but the story element and the screenplay and the villain that they have in this whole final act thing is just not good. So I think if I'm being judgely honest, this is an average movie. I'm gonna give this a C, a flat C. The on the rating scale, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10, and this is what I think you should see right now. And so I'm going to recommend people see it because it sets up something big, and I love it. So there's that. Actually, I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to get my charger to plug this thing in. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right. Set to charge my phone. Wait, can I reach it from here? Um. Okay. Sorry. Okay. And so let's move on with the so overall, Black Adam. I thought it was entertaining in some parts, but in the end, just didn't work for me. Um, so now let's get into the actual reason why I love to talk about movies, and that is trashing things, because I have something to trash on right now. There was a movie coming out on Netflix, and apparently it's based off of a really popular book called The School for Good and Evil. Now, hmm, just gonna look it up real quick. Um, Let me look it up. Hold on, the actual movie. Okay, right here. Okay, so The School for Good and Evil is a Netflix movie based off of the novel. I'm probably sure that I'm never going to read the novel again after watching this. Um, it's directed by Paul Feig, who's known for some actually pretty funny movies. Bridesmaids is hilarious. The Heat is hilarious. Spy is probably his best movie. And he unfortunately had done the or Simple Favor. I heard is good. I haven't watched it yet, but he also is known. He's probably best known. He's probably best known for the remake of Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So, he did this movie. It stars Sophia Ann Caruso, which is somebody I never met or never heard of. Sophia Wilde, again, two Sophias. Speaking of Sophia Ali on the Wilds, Amazon, please renew for season 3 or give it to somebody else who would actually do it. I'm gonna keep doing it every stream, every stream. It stars Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix, Neo or Morpheus, Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Robert Denlani, Kerry Washington, Charlize Theron, and a little bit of a cameo with Kate Blanchett. And so the movie goes. It's pretty much about these two friends who are kind of like, one of them's normal, but the other one, like, she lives in a neighborhood, or she lives in a graveyard. She lives near a graveyard, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're a witch. You're a bad person. You give bad luck." And she's the only one who accepts her for who she is. And you know, they arrive at the school for good and evil, where um, they go to be heroes and villains. However, there's a little bit of a catch. They're swapped. So the girl who lives by the graveyard is in the good school, and the girl who wants to be a princess is in the bad school. And so this movie does a lot of things, and there's like a backstory to something else that happens in the movie, which um okay. And so um I okay. Like, I watched this movie and I said, okay, this is gonna be an interesting film, because I heard like medium things about this film. So we're watching it, and I pause it because I have to go to the bathroom. We're 55 minutes in. Okay, let me just get that clear. Actually, no. This was before that. My dad had to walk his dog, or my dog too. I think it was 33 minutes or 55 minutes in. Anyway, it was at that time. And I stopped to look at the movie, and there was like an hour and 50 minutes in. This movie's 2 hours and 28 minutes long, by the way. That's a lot of storytelling. And I had watched the trailers for this movie. I thought they were, they're it's kind of appealing to the young people who read the book. So it's not appealing to me. So I went in this movie open-minded. And I will say this. Paul Feig is not, well, probably for me, he's not known for making Ghostbusters, which is notorious for being one of the worst movies of all time. No, I think it's going to be this movie. This was terrible. I mean, this was awful. I didn't find a single thing in this movie that worked, and I mean that. I did not find a single thing that was like, you know what? Maybe that's actually a good thing. No, it's not. Nothing was good in this movie, and so I actually am going to do something I haven't done yet. I'm going to spoil the movie. I'm going to spoil the whole movie. I don't think anybody cares to watch this movie, and that's fine by you. But I'm going to tell you why this movie is bad, and why it doesn't make sense, and why you should avoid it at all times. So, if you really want to watch this movie, I'm going to tell you right now, you should watch this review. But I'll summarize my whole point at the end of this video. All right, so let's talk about. All right, so we're going to start out. So, spoiler warning right here. Let's do it. Let's rip this movie apart. Or I'm going to rip this movie apart. All right, so pretty much what the opening of this movie begins, and we find out that there's these two brothers that are very like that look alike. They're twins, and one of them is good, one of them is evil, and they're brothers. And the evil brother, of course, wants to use this dark magic and kill his brother and take over the world. But then out of nowhere, he dies. They both fall off a cliff, except the good brother lives, and so he moves on to become the grandmaster of the school for good and evil, and separate them both. And so we meet our two characters. One of them is wanting to be a princess, and the other one is just kind of being a normal person and doesn't really care. And they're dragged in. They're not the most popular, because she's the only one that hangs out with this girl Agatha, and she, people say she's a witch because she lives near a graveyard. And this is a hilarious part in the movie where the girls meet, because the other girl's mother, Sophie, clever name. The actress's name is Sophia, and her name is Sophie. That's clever name. And so she's mourning the passing of her mother. She's young, and there's this girl who just is sitting randomly behind a tombstone, that comes up and is like, "Hey, you want to be friends?" It's like, "Yeah, cool." And that's how they meet. Like, really? And so she wants to go to this place, the Sophie girl, and her sister and her friend is like, no, we have to be together, because I don't know what we're gonna do. Who's gonna take care of my mother?" Or it's like, like she wants, or no, Agatha wants her to be with her, or be together, stay friends, and she kind of makes a bad choice at this tree, and it's like she says it's a wishing tree, and then oh something happens, there's some evil afoot, and so then they get transported to this place, and they're flying through the air, and the green screen behind the background was so bad, or it was like the outline of the people was awful. It was super obvious. And so they're dropped in this different schools, and easily I can notice that okay, this is probably gonna go the way I expect this. She's gonna be a drug print. She's gonna turn into a drug person. She's probably gonna be evil and be like, no, I'm not gonna be evil. Actually, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's exactly how this plays out. So we're introduced to Kerry Washington. Well, no, we're introduced first as Charlie Theron, who has the most ridiculous wig I have seen, and she is pretty much like, "I know who you are. You are in the right school for the right reason, because the drift or whatever the creature was that sent you here, they never lie. It's always the truth. There hasn't been a mix up in years." And so she meets all these girls who are like really bad, over the top. And let me just start with it. The acting is awful in this movie. Like everybody is over the top and really bad. Like the evil people are super like exaggerated and just like putrid. It's like Gargamel, um, Gargamel? Yeah, Gargamel from Smurfs. Like the acting of that guy, of Hank Azaria, it's every single bad person in this movie. And so then you had, what else is there? You had the Kerry Washington, who's in this movie, who's even more over the top. He's like, "Welcome to the school for good and evil." It's like over the top, this high pitched nonsense, and it's so bad. And then you're introduced with some the other girls that are on the other side who are like picky a little bit, and then you have to have one of them, the leader of the group, to be like, "I'm in love with the hottest guy there," who's like apparently like charming or some I don't. What is this? What is? Why am I looking this up? Why am I looking this up? But no, I'm gonna look it up anyway because I'm a good person. Um, his name is Tedros. Jamie Flatters. It doesn't matter anyway. Anyway, everybody in the movie, the acting is awful from these people. So they pretty much are like, he's like the hottest. Apparently, people are like, he's so good at what he does, and it's like evil's been running or been losing every single year against the good side. So like it's weird because I thought that the movie was gonna be like they're both like on the opposite side, and then they start to become like she starts to become good and she starts to become evil. Actually, it's not. The good person who's on the good side is like, I don't like to be here. She's a mopey teenager. She's bad at acting. And I've seen her before in other shows. She in a Disney show, Andy Mack. Um, oh geez, I remember that. But like she's very like she's very like low and slow. She's talking like this, and then when she gets high, she gets like this. It's just like that's the level of her hair is super like curly and crazy. It's like really, dude. Um, and she, so she pretty much is like she wants to figure out a way to get out of here. Um, and Sophie is like, no, I actually want to stay here and go on the other side. And so she doesn't belong there. And so her there are girls that are there, and one of them like apparently is like eating the book and is like, "Hi, my name is this, and this is this," and one of the girls like spits out like, and like it like combusts like this electric explosion. It's not good. I don't like it. Um, because like for the most part, it's like very like over the top. And so that's we're not even halfway through the movie. So then we're at that point of the movie where they go to well they have to um do figure out a way, maybe one day what if we combine the schools together? And so apparently Lawrence Fishburne's like true love's kiss will do it. And she starts to fall in love with the Tedros guy, where and I'm like, it's not gonna be him. It's not gonna be him. It's gonna be this other guy that keeps trying to talk to her but doesn't. And so it's so bad. I'm just so slow talking about this movie because I really want to spoil what the dumbness in this thing is. And so okay, so we meet Michelle Yeoh's character who does a whole lesson on smiling, and the all the girl has to do is smile, and you're telling me like the writing in this is like so bad. It's like she can't smile. Like you're giving grades for smiling, and she gets an F. And apparently it's like three Fs, and you get turned into something. And then we're moving on. We go to the forest with her, and they start to have a conversation with Tedros. Sure, and her had a conversation with Tedros because her friend's like, give this note to him because I don't want to do it myself because I'm scared and I'm boring and I'm useless. And so she gives it to him, and I was like, they're gonna fall in love. Like they're gonna be the ones that fall in love. And it was so predictable. It's cliched, it's predictable, it's whatever you want it to be. And so now we're in the forest, and she meets this guy named Gregor, 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 whatever it is, Gred. I'm just gonna call it Gred. And so he's apparently the son of Prince Charming. And I thought, oh, maybe that's where um, he maybe at the end he's gonna be like the one that girl's true love, or the actor that's true love. At by the end of this movie, and it's not. He fails, and he disappears, and he gets turned into something. Now, this is later on. They're at an area where there's like this fish sort of thing. There's like this fish area where you can pretty much like put your finger in there and see like what you want to wish for, and what you desire the most. And so, of course, Agatha puts her finger in there, and it's like all the fish are turning into like an actual person, and it's apparently some kid who failed 3 times and was turned into a fish, and then she just dies. Like she just straight up dies. Like there's child death in this thing. Like she just straight up dies in the movie, and then out of nowhere, it's like, what did you do? It's like that's crazy. And then out of nowhere, the thing that apparently I thought it was the thing that I think the thing that like goes that captured the girls to bring them to school apparently comes out of nowhere and is about to attack. Now, keep in mind, like we're about 5 minutes after like from the um the scene from the forest scene where that grad kid disappeared because there's these damn things, there's these flowers that apparently bite you. And so we're like I would guess like 5 minutes past that in that time. And it's about to eat her, but it's not. And out of nowhere, and I'm serious, she just says, Greg? Like she says Greg, and it's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. It's like, first of all, how do you know that's him? And second of all, are you sidekicked or something? Like, really? And how did you wish for well, actually, no, I shouldn't be complaining, but yeah, how did you wish for one person to come back alive when you could have done everyone? Like, just one girl? And who is that? Was that somebody who she lost in her past life? Was that their mother? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And so then Tedros comes in to save the day, and that's like Greg or die. Like Greg really dies now because he kills the beast, and he's like, "What did you do?" And it's like, "I saved your life. Are you ridiculous? Are you crazy?" And it's like, and now she's telling the professor, Terry Washington's character, is like, "You call that evil? That's not evil. That's mean. You call that good? That's not good. That's evil. Turning people into things and not letting them live." I'm like, it's the acting is so bad in this movie, and so it's like that, and then so we're there, um, so we're at that point. So she's at that point, and now we're going back to her, and out of nowhere, she has the ability. Like, there's this one girl who's picking on her with this dragon that she has from a tattoo, and it flies up and kills her. Oh no, it doesn't. Ah, damn it. There's this thing that happens But so she so there's this so the creature, the dragon thing fights her, and then out of nowhere she's like, no, like, because she can probably summon she says she can summon a squirrel. And so one of the dudes is like, use your squirrel powers, and a bunch of bees come in and start, like, attacking her, and it's affecting the kid too. It's like, don't kill her, you'll get expelled if you kill somebody. And it's like, stop. She just yells stop, and they're all like, okay, fine. And then the bees morph into the villain of the movie, the actual, like, villain, the original, the Grandmaster's brother. And it's like, well done, Sophie. It's like, really, dude. It's like, how did that happen? And now apparently the professor knows of this. Well, the professor knew years ago, like, because she recognized him a while ago. And so, like, it's so confusing to think about this movie for 1 second. And then now we're at this place, or where she wants to become, well, apparently, actually, I don't even know if she really is evil or not, but, like, so they're all getting their powers. It's like they put the key in their hand, and she comes out looking like a TikTok makeover girl with all this, like, additions. And she's walking in, like, all like, she thinks she's like a badass or something. And so she is then she's not now evil. Apparently she's turning evil. And she then is, like, becoming this evil person. And then her friend's like, what are you doing? It's, I don't know. And then her friend's like, "What are you doing? Why are you like this?" And it's like, "I like the new me." It's like, and then it's probably not going to be like that. And then Tedros comes in, and it's like, "Oh, I like you now, because you're kind of like actual, like, you're actual talking to me, and you changed." And so, but apparently it's not supposed to be, because they're. And I forgot to tell you, there's these things called nevers and evers, like happily ever after. The goods are the evers, the bads are the nevers. And so apparently it's like a never and an ever should never be together. If I can't believe that rhymes. Um so she so then the mean girls from the good side versus the mean girls from the bad side start to have a fight. Um and I forgot to mention that there's the use of two pop culture songs from Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo. Like, really? If you're not appealing to Gen Z more. And so then they're summoned to go to this area of the place where it's like, hey, by the way, now that you guys did this, there's a punishment where you have to go on opposite sides of this garden, and you have to fight. You have to fight your way through, and if one of you cheats, then you forfeit. And they have a handkerchief, and the friend is like, "Oh, I'll save you because you're in danger." And out of nowhere, she turns into a butterfly. So she turns into a bird. I'm like, where did you get that from? Was that a power? Is that a power for being a good person? And so that happens, and then she gets into an argument with him, and it's or argument with her, because it's like, you tried to cheat, or the guy's like, you tried to cheat your way through. It's like, no, 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 I did. I didn't even know she was here. And he gets for free. He throws his handkerchief, so he leaves. And it's like, there's a whole fight where it's like, why can't you just let me be who I want to be? It's like, no, I'm being your friend. It's like, no, you're not. It's bad. It's bad. So she's locked in a room, and then the villain comes out, or the real villain's like, you want to use black magic? And she's like, I do. So she takes her. So she's like, now she's really evil, and yet she's turning. I mean, she's starting to look old, and I mean it. Like, the CGI for the old her, like, it's like her. She's young, but her face is getting all, like, wrinkly and ugly. It's really, like, stupid. It's really stupid. And so the movie then has this huge big fight, but they don't know it. And then it's her villain lines. When she turns into a villain, she's just doing all these pointing things. It's awful. It's the acting is awful in this movie. And so then, of course, true love apparently the villain in the movie and Sophie kiss, and it's like, no, that actually is a lie because you know what the twist is? The Grandmaster actually was the one who died because the actual villain of the twin brother who was evil, was portraying himself as the Grandmaster and has made this. He was the one that's like, hey, well, if we put those two people and swap them together. So he was the one who did that. And he's been doing that ever since. And I mean, this was has no one at the school like years ago was like, oh, your brother, his brother died, but he survived. Like nobody was passing that information on, and apparently these people were like living with this villain. It's like really, that's hard to believe. Anyway, so he throws a sword at the Agatha character, and she gets pushed out of the way by her friend. It hits her, and then the spell is broken, and then he dies apparently, and then they go back to their town, but they still have their powers from their fingers, and it's like then the movie ends where like the portal opens to where they left at school, and like a sword goes through, and then another knife goes through, and I didn't know what knife it was, and I didn't care because that's the end of the movie. So there's that. So that's the spoiler ending. There we go. Yeah. So in the end, this is an awful movie. It it did nothing to me. It was way too long. It was paced terribly. The acting's bad. The script is bad. The CGI is awful. The characters, I don't care about the characters. If I don't care about the characters and I don't like the actors, I don't like this movie. So this is gonna get an F. An F. It's bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably gonna give this thing like a 1 out of 10 because I thought that Michelle Yeoh and Lawrence Fishburne were like the best parts of the movie, and they're small parts. So there's that. Out of the movie, don't watch it. Um, so that's going to be it for the movie reviews. Now let's get on to the news quickly before we end this because I only have like a couple minutes left. I have 10 minutes, so let's move in with this. The first one is that Black Adam took in $67 million at the box office. That is Dwayne Johnson's biggest non-Fast and Furious debut ever, and thus his biggest in his star vehicle. In terms of DC-related launches, it's bigger than Shazam. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on, let me find another article so I can read this. Yeah. So Dwayne Johnson powers with 67 million openings. So it's the best of a Dwayne Johnson movie ever. His previous movies counted as well, let's take a look at his other movies and how they really compared to his box office. So apparently, in terms of other DC movies, it it bested Shazam, which made $53 million. It was 1% below Aquaman, which came out in 2018, which opened to $67.8 million. And compared to other Dwayne Johnson movies starring him, it's the highest he has ever done. His last highest movie was 2019 with Hobbs and Shaw with exactly $60 million. So it's above Dwayne Johnson or Hobbs and Shaw with 60 million, then Jumanji, the next level with 9.2 million, and then San Andreas with 54.5 million, and then Moana, which counts as an animated movie, but he was kind of one of the leads in it with 56 million. So, and it's also the fifth best October opening of all time. Top four are number 2019's Joker with 96 million, which holds the record. Then Venom Let There Be Carnage, which came out last year with $90 million. Then you got Venom, the first movie, which came out in 2018, which made $80.2 million. And then you got Halloween, which came out to $76.2 million. So the movie did really well, and I'm proud of it because this is the best opening for Dwayne Johnson in his career. And I'm really excited for that. And it's apparently the 11th biggest opening for DC. Like their biggest opening is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice with a 166 million debut. Now, I didn't think this movie was going to hit 100 million. I thought it was going to be like maybe 70 million or possibly 80, but 67 is actually pretty good. and they should be proud of it. They should be proud of this because this has a potential to reach 500 million. And if it does reach 500 million, then it's good. And if it has a good second weekend and another weekend before that, before Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes out, which will do really well in the box office, then I think they're going to have a good year for DC. DC leader Super Pets didn't make a lot of money, but it did make even, so it is profitable. So there's that. Now, shut up. In other news, let's talk about the other news regarding the box office, and that is this. Halloween Ends took a massive 80% drop in week 2, grossing just 8 million for a 54.177 million 10-day total. So let me talk about this real quick because I would love to talk about this for a minute. Because hold on, let me see. Okay. Yeah. So here's the article that it says it. Halloween Ends saw a pretty sharp drop from its opening weekend. It at number 1 last weekend with $40 million. The movie dropped to a staggering 80% in its second week, slipping to number 4 with 8 million earned. This is said to be one of the sharpest drops ever seen at a box office for a movie that opened in the number 1 spot. So let's talk about why this happened. First of all, let's talk about the real reasons, like 3 reasons why the movie happened. Number 1 is that maybe the trailers just looked the same and they didn't have any impact. I didn't mind the trailers, but I just like, they're good, they're good. I hated the movie though. I hated the movie. It's one of the worst of the year, and it's disappointing as crap. Number 2, the movie got poor reviews from both critics and audiences. Or maybe because you put the movie on damn streaming, Peacock, Universal, and that's the biggest thing. When it was announced that they were going to put this movie in theaters and also on Peacock, it should have been a clear indication like, yeah, the movie is not going to be, they don't have faith in it. They didn't put The Black Phone on it. They didn't put Nope on it because those movies they had hope in. They didn't have hope in this movie, and that's why. This is actually one of the harshest receptions because apparently a movie that opened like that's doing really well, Smile, surpassed Halloween Ends, landing in number 3. So pretty much the box office goes as Black Adam, $67 million, Ticket to Paradise, the new rom-com, which I'm not going to see, but it made 16.3 million, Smile with 8.3 million, Halloween Ends with 8 million, Lyle Crocodile with 4.2 million, The Woman King at 1.9 million. So yeah, let's talk about that. If I'll say right here. Yeah. So let's talk about reason, like the real like factor. Let's talk about the factor of that. It's one of the largest ever, and it's the 16th steepest percentage drop ever, and it's the 7th percentage drop playing amongst 1,000 theaters. Let's compare it to the other movies. So Halloween Kills, which last year, which also debuted in theaters and on Peacock, took a 71% drop, which debuted to $49 million. Is my mic on? Yeah, it's mic on. Then you got Halloween, the first movie, 2018, which debuted exclusively in theaters and saw a 59% drop after debuting with $76 million. This year's biggest horror movie, July's Nope, dropped 58%. And that movie opened to $44 million, roughly around the same as Halloween Ends. And then you have A Quiet Place Part 2, which opened to $48 million, and it dropped 59%. And that was last year, and it was in theaters as well. So why in the hell did this movie drop that low? Well, because the movie sucked. It wasn't good. And I'm looking up the box office for the biggest second weekend drops of all time. And look what manages to slip in the top 20. Halloween Ends at number 16. Yeah, no. This is not good. Because now, they kind of doomed themselves from the start. If this movie just stayed in theaters, maybe there would have been more. Because they've definitely lost a lot of money on this now. So this is on Universal. This is on the people who are like, made the decision like we don't have faith in this movie. We're gonna put it in theaters, and then they didn't review lift the embargo until like a couple of days later. So that's on them. That this is all on them, and they should be punished for that. They should be punished especially for this. And so that's really it. That's all I have to say about the movie news. And that's all I have to say about today. So this is an hour long. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those who you did, I will see you next Wednesday. Yeah, signing off.